Good morning. Thank you for that. That was unexpected. But she is in truth when she tells you that it's 35 years. I was trying to recall as I was sitting what feelings I was having when I was at my CPO graduation, albeit almost 3 decades ago. I remember I was glad the academy was over. I was anxious. I wanted to get home to my family. Also, I wanted to start my job. I wanted to use what I learned at my job. I wanted to put it to use. And I was also wanting to make an impact. So you may be sharing some of those feelings this morning. I'm a happy man, and I want to share some of that. I'm happy for you. Congratulations. I'm also happy for myself. But if you've worked in Circuit 2, you've heard this for the last several months, but retirement is awesome. It's something worth working for, working towards. But we share some common ground. You know, you're just starting your career path. You've got one leg over the start line. I'm about to put one leg over the finish line after 35 years. And I want to give you some things to help you build a building block as a probation officer. You know, how you can work, stay strong, and work towards a goal of retirement like I have. You know, I often think about the Wizard of Oz, how Dorothy and her friends, the lion, the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, they all had hopes and dreams that they wanted to have given to them. But they were always told, you know, follow this yellow brick road. You know, it's going to take you to a place that, you know, where everything will come true. And that's what I've been on. It's when I think about it. It hasn't always been easy, but now I'm about to enjoy the rewards. So I want to help you build a building block as a probation officer. Some things that will help you stay strong. At times you can lean on it throughout your career. But it's only 3 topics. I know that one of the things when I was at my academy graduation, I didn't want to listen to some old man with a puzzle gut talk for a long time. So it'll be short. But I want to let you know there's 3 things. Expectation, you know, what do we expect from you as a probation officer? Adversity, because you're going to face that at every turn. And then how do you prepare for this? So what should we expect from you as a probation officer? There's going to be a lot of expectations. You're going to go back to your office. You're going to meet with your supervisor. They're going to assign you a mentor. You're going to be enrolled in a new recruit training program. They're going to assist you in becoming a probation officer. But there's one expectation that's really high on my scale, and that's professional conduct. How do you conduct yourself? Here in a few minutes, you're going to be asked to recite an oath. That oath, the words in it, you need to understand the meaning, and you should use that as a base to build your building block. That, along with the codes, the morals that we have in the Department of Corrections, that's going to be your fundamental starting point. Now, once you get back to your office, you're going to be issued some field safety equipment. One of those pieces of equipment is a badge. That badge stands for something much larger than yourself, okay? It's going to stand for the authority that the state of Florida places in you, the trust the Department of Corrections places in you, and the people of the state of Florida. They trust you to represent that badge. But what's most important and why it ranks so high on my scale is that it's not only going to be representative of you, you're going to be representing every man and woman who wears that badge in the state of Florida. So you're going to have some decisions to make. They're not always easy. But if you will use sound ethics and a strong moral compass, you will make the right decisions. Okay? You may not have the answers for everything, but you will make the right decisions. There's one thing, at every turn of your job, you're dealing with people, whether it be offenders on your caseload, their families, the victims, those in your office, your coworkers. Everywhere you turn, you will be interacting, communicating with people. So one of the fundamental rights of anyone that you encounter, if you will allow them respect and dignity and treat them with such and never try to diminish either one of those, you will be good. Now, you may not get that in return. They may not return that. And you may have some personal feelings because for those on your caseload, they probably didn't show the victim respect or dignity. But you've got to keep your personal feelings out of it because you're going to be a professional and you're going to have professional bearing. Okay? Because our job is to help them succeed. Now, sometimes you've got to use some strong love with them. It's not going to be what they want, but that's what we do. We're not judging them. That's already been done. The courts have judged them, and there's an almighty power that has the final judgment. So respect and dignity. And that doesn't just go for those that's under supervision. Your coworkers, everyone in the public, always start with respect and dignity. Second topic is adversity. Everywhere you turn, there's going to be adversity. Don't let the challenge of adversity inhibit you. In fact, you become a master at resolving conflicts because it's going to be everywhere you turn. Now, with your caseload, you're going to encounter some individuals with the most challenges you can ever imagine. You're going to have people with no ID card, no social security number, no birth certificate. Those individuals, no home, no employment, they're going to be turning to you. You're going to have to be giving them direction of where to go. So it's important, when you get back, learn what your resources are. Now, the Department of Corrections over the last several years has done a tremendous job at creating initiatives and programs to assist officers like yourself, as well as the offenders. There's a program, it's called FACE IT. It was actually started right here in Circuit 2 in November of 2021. This young man here was part of that initiation, along with some of our supervisors. But that program, it brings in those under supervision. It also brings in their families because supervision affects more than just that one person. And it explains to them, what supervision is, what is their role, what's the expectation for them. And it also explains the role of a probation officer, what you should be doing. It gives a very fundamental understanding of how they can succeed on supervision. There's other programs, incentive programs like the merit-based activity, an IOTS program where an offender, if they meet certain criteria, they can report in by phone. So they don't have to leave their job to come in and report. Call in by phone, answer a few questions, and we're golden. Sometimes you're going to be looked at for direction, but you're also going to have to motivate. You're going to have to encourage some of these people because when you get them, they are so low in their life that they have no hope. So at certain times in your career, you're going to be that beacon of light, that hope, that ray of sunshine. You don't have to get personal with them, but you can let them know that there is a better life. And that is your overall goal, is to help them succeed. That's what we are. And we have a regional director that's, he's got a famous cliche, is Mr. Palmer. He's out of Region 2. We're in the people business, and that's what we do. You have the greatest opportunity to fulfill one of the commandments, love thy neighbor. We're not talking about a physical love. We're talking about care, empathy, compassion. Let them know that there is a better way. That's what you're going to be doing. Also about adversity. You're not going to just face it in your supervision caseload or their families. You're going to have it in your office too. Don't get caught up in the office drama. You be that ray of sunshine, and be positive. You lead them out of that. Some people are so dark, it's hard for them to see the light. You be that light. You find ways to resolve conflict. Okay? Also, when you get back to your office, we're talking about adversity. There's going to be a community resource manual, something that will assist you whenever someone's needing to get their driver's license or someone's needing to get employment. There's going to be a manual that you can turn to that gives you the resources at your local area. Find that, understand, learn who your community resources are. There's more assistance out there than just yourself. You've just got to learn where those resources are, who they are, and find them and point them in the right direction. Okay, we're still at free will. The offender has to do this themselves, but you can give them the direction of which to turn. The other thing, the last thing, I told you it was going to be short, is preparation. You've already started that. You've completed the academy. You've prepared yourselves. This is a noble profession. You know, you're not going to get a lot of thank yous for what you do, but it is a noble profession. We're at the back end of the criminal justice system. You know, sometimes you're not going to get the notice that you deserve. But we as co-workers, who's in correctional probation, we understand what you're going through. I remember when I was a young line officer. But you're needed, you're a part of society, and we depend on you. So, you know, you've started your preparation today, you've graduated, and I want to share a short personal story about myself. Back when I started, this was right after the Civil War, we actually had probation officers inside institutions. We still called them correctional probation officers, but we worked inside the institutions. It's now what they call classification officers. That's where I started. But in 1999, they separated those two classifications, job names, and I came out into community corrections. I came out into probation and parole. And I had been a probation officer for a couple of years, but I came up to my first promotional opportunity. And so, you know, I'm sitting there getting ready for my interview, and I'm looking around, engaging my competition. I'm like, oh yeah, I got this made. Because I had more time in as an officer than anybody else there to be interviewed. So I go in and do my interview. I was confident, you know, overconfident. And so they offered the job to a young man that had less time than I did. And I was like, whoa, you know, reality hit. I'm like, you know, how dare they pick someone over me, you know? So I started digging, you know, why did they select this young man? Well, the way that our promotional system works for probation officers is on a point system. So, and it doesn't just look at the time that you've been a probation officer. It also takes into account the education that you have above a minimum requirement of a bachelor's degree, which this young man had. He had a master's, so he had that over me. It also takes into account career development courses. You know, what do they do to advance their knowledge of their profession? This young man had several career development courses. I didn't have any. So I set myself a goal. I started taking some courses. I took the general instructor course. I took the firearms instructor course. I took the chemical munitions course. I took the defensive tactics. So I started raising my worth by taking these extra courses. So the second time that I came up for promotion, I didn't get it. But the third time was a charm, and that's what started me on my projection. So what I'm telling you is, you know, don't become stagnant. Continue your education. I know there's going to be things, especially if you start families, you know, things are going to take precedence over furthering your education. But these state-sponsored schools, the state of Florida will pay your tuition. You show up, make the grade, take advantage of that. Career development courses. Some of these courses the department will send you to. Some you can take on your own time. If you take those on your own time, there's a salary incentive. You know, not only making your base pay, but the state will actually pay you once you get a certain number of courses to take these salary incentive courses. So continue that. And procedural knowledge. Know what's expected of you in your job. Read your procedures when you get back. Also, there's organizations that can help you grow professionally and personally that's associated with probation and parole. There's the American Probation and Parole Association, APPA. You'll hear about that soon enough. Florida has an association of community corrections. That's community corrections within the state of Florida. You're working with your county probation, your private probation departments. Get involved with that. It doesn't cost you anything. Then there's the FCCD, Florida Council on Crime and Delinquency. Also, you have entities within your community, different programs to support the community. Get involved with those as well. So that way, when your opportunity comes, you're ready for it. Now, my career, I'm happy for you, I'm happy for me, but I'm also excited about the opportunities that you're about to face. Some of the opportunities I didn't have a chance to get, but you will, and I'm very excited about that. And I hope that you can use these resources, these principles, and build yourself a base, something to build off of to become a probation officer, something that's going to make you strong, something to rely on in times where you need to lean up against a rock. But you can do it. I'm excited for you, and I will tell you, retirement is worth working for. I'm already enjoying it. So I wish you the best. I pray and hope to God that He keeps you safe from harm, as well as your families. So good luck, and God bless you.